Hello, everybody out there. So, for today's video, it is International Women's Day, and I could not make up my mind what to do a video on. And I finally was sitting here and was thinking, like, I should just do a video that's mostly for women, and that's what I want to do a video on. But I'm not going to lie to you, I could not think of what to do a video on, and it was bothering me a lot. So I was sitting there, and I finally said, okay, I'm going to Google something to, like, figure out what to do a video on. And sure enough, I ended up Googling, like, common relationship or common marriage problems, mainly for women. And I've done one video like this, and just one, where I ended up pretty much, like, finding, like, an article and discussing it, kind of expressing my thoughts on it. And the last one that I did, I can't remember what it was on, it was about a while back. But for today, that's what I looked up, was essentially common marriage issues that women face. Because I feel like, Women's Day, women's marriage issues, good video. Or at least something different. So, sadly enough, though, I did not read the actual website before I did this, but I did read the lady's credentials. She is I won't say her name, but she is a behavioral counselor, or like relationship counselor, which is interesting because the name of her website is divorcedmoms.com. And I just feel like that's, like, how are you giving relationship advice and the name of your thing is divorcedmoms.com? I mean, you can tell me it's because they're divorced moms, but wouldn't you want to give them advice before they're divorced moms? Just my thoughts. I mean, what do I know? Anyways, so without further ado, I'm going to go over she sent out surveys to people that she knew about, like, their top relationship problems, to give you more in-depth, so I apologize. I'm kind of going to jump around a little bit. Sent out surveys to a bunch of people that she knew, people that she'd done relationship counseling before, and said, like, what are things that your husband does that are, like, drive you insane, make you not want to be with them, that kind of stuff. And these are, like, the top 9 answers that she got. So I kind of want to go through them, talk about how I think that you could possibly actually, like, fix those problems in your relationship or work through them, where her responses are just like, you should go to counseling, or he's a dick. Well, you shouldn't say you're a dick. He's a dick, but excuse me, there we go. That's what she's saying without saying it, to be 100% honest. So kind of talk about, like, what you could do. And then also, for some of them that I did read, I'm like, wow, these are fucking bullshit. Like, they're legitimately bullshit. And that's why I'm going to kind of rag on those ones and then give solutions for the other ones. Because, as she said, these are 9 marital problems that only women face. And I feel like some of them are actually real, and I feel like some of them are just kind of bullshit. So, for number 1, I do agree with this being more common that women have to deal with, which is that the husband, does not attend the kids' school activities or sports. So I definitely can see that's a common thing, and I think it kind of depends. So I know for myself, personal experience growing up, my dad worked Monday through Saturday, pretty much sun up, sundown, and then some. So I think that I had an idea that my dad wasn't there for some of my activities because of the fact that he was usually working, and I did understand that, and he was providing for us, and I had, like, a grasp of that. When I was, like, a little kid, yeah, maybe it was a little bit less understanding, but I still got to spend time with him. I still got to see him, like, obviously, especially on, like, the weekends. But I definitely could see how, if you're with somebody who's not working or just doesn't want to go and is just going to chill at home and is kind of being shitty, like, how that could be negatively affecting. And I think that, again, like, her response is go to counseling or tell them to get off their ass. And I really feel like in this current, like, that kind of situation, my best advice would be, like, just having that honest conversation of, like, saying, like, hey, when, like, I mean, really bringing it back to, like, the person. And I know it's kind of weird, like, making it about, like, the husband when it's about the kid. But sometimes you have to, like, perspective things. So with that one, all I would say is, when you were a kid, like, did you do anything like this? And if so, was your dad and mom there? And if they say no, then ask them how that made them feel, how it makes them feel now. If they say they don't give a shit, they're full of shit. If they say that it made them sad or they didn't like it, then tell them, like, okay, like, put yourself in our kid's shoes, like, straight up. Or if they're like, oh, my parents went and it didn't really matter to me, I would say, like, well, I talked to little Billy or little Timmy, and they said that it does matter, and they do want you to be there, and they are sad when you're not there, and they do notice. So if you can't make it about the other person, make it about, like, the husband and try and reframe it, like, to put perspective on it, then literally just straight tell them that's what's up. And that should solve the problem unless they're just a piece of shit. And if that's the situation, I do apologize. And then, yeah, I guess you can go to counseling like this lady says to do. For number 2, he is still attached to his mom's apron strings, which I feel like is a funny way to say that, but essentially still means that the guy's up his mom's butt. So I'm going to tell you this straight up. I have, and this is one of the ones I don't like, because I feel like, sure, there are men out there that are that way, but I've also met and dated plenty of women. And again, I'm not talking about a marriage. Maybe in a marriage is different. I can't tell you I haven't been married before, and I apologize for that fact. 5%, and then 5% I don't give a fuck. But I'm telling you, I have met women before in relationships who are the same way, where they're up their dad's butt, like 1,000%, and they are a daddy's girl. And I'm gonna tell you right now, that is the exact same emotion that I guarantee you women feel when the guy is up their mom's butt. So that one can just fuck off, because it goes both ways. And it's probably 5 to 10% of men and women in marriages or relationships are that way. So I feel like that's a stupid response that people that she knows or has worked with, that was a common answer, because I feel like it's just like such a small percentage of people. So for number 3, this one I do agree with very strongly, is that he expects too much of her. And I feel like it kind of goes into a video I want to do at some other point in time, which is literally, you should love your partner for who they are and not for what they do. And I feel like I should do a video on that sooner than later, but I don't know what to say yet, to be very honest. But I feel like a lot of times men are in marriages and they love their wife for what they do. They love the fact that she cleans, she cooks, she takes care of the kids, she gets the groceries, whatever it may be. And they don't always necessarily love their wife for who they are and the heart that they have, the brain that they have, sense of humor, all that other stuff. And that is really a lot of times focused on, you do all these things for me, so therefore I love the fact that you do all these things for me, not so much I love you for you. So I think that is a true one. I think that in a lot of relationships, men do expect too much. I think that's it can be a hard conversation to have, but I think that my recommendation is, if you're in a relationship, I want to say a lot of this advice too is if you're in a relationship, like a serious relationship or like engaged. If you're married and you're experiencing this shit, like you should have already figured this shit out before y'all got married. And if you didn't, then like if it came up later, then I'm sorry and try my advice. But if it came up before and you still got married, then you're dumb. And you shouldn't have gotten married if you knew that they were kind of a shitty person. Like, you wouldn't obviously know the first one, like, that they weren't going to show up for your kids' events. But, like, if you have stuff going on, like an event for work or something like that, and they don't show up, or they fight you on showing up, like, that might be a red flag that might happen for your kids or something like that. So, food for thought. But if you're in a relationship or, like, a serious relationship or even being engaged, then I would say that, like, take the advice I'm giving you much more so seriously, because you should be aware of this kind of shit and, like, be paying attention to it. But if he's already expecting too much of you now, it's not going to change. Things, I think, are always going to get more serious and more deeper when you get into a marriage. So I think the only way you can really have that conversation is just being very honest and saying that you're feeling overwhelmed, saying that you're needing more help. And again, it's kind of like what I said before. If someone really loves you and it's a behavioral change, then they can change it if they really care about you and they want to put the relationship first. If it's a characteristic change as far as like who they are as a whole or like a big part of them, then no, it's not going to change. But if it's like, hey, can you please, for the love of God, wash your damn dishes and put them in the damn dishwasher or whatever, something like that, take the damn trash out consistently. If they really love you, they're going to change the behavior if they're trying to make the relationship work. So I think it's just having an honest conversation. I don't think you need to, yet again, go to therapy like she says in her thing for everything. Number 4 is, and I don't like her, she likes to use weird words and it makes me more annoyed with this entire article. He renegated on how many children they would have, which basically she says, only women experience this, is that the men have, told the women at the beginning of their relationship, their marriage, they want 3 kids. And, they get 2 kids in and they're like, no, I'm done. I don't want any more kids. And that is very upsetting for the women. And it only happens to women. And I'm going to tell you again, this is another one of those fucking bullshit ones where I know for a fact, because I have had friends and family who have said, I wanted to have more kids, but she said no, because she's the one popping them out. So she said no, so we're not having more kids, but I wanted to have more kids, or I wanted to have a boy, or I wanted to have a daughter because I didn't have one, and she said no. So I'm telling you, again, it's bullshit. It goes both ways. these people, this lady, like I said, I want to address the serious ones, but I'm also not going to sit here and like just let somebody say that this is the way things are when they're full of shit. So that one goes both ways. So I think the people that responded to her that said that are full of shit. Now this one, because of the way it's worded, I would, obviously it's going to happen just to women, but I mean, if you think about it contextually and not just with the word choice she used, then again, she's full of shit, which is why I'm just like, why does this keep happening? Like, how are you a professionally licensed, like, marriage or relationship counselor therapist and you're writing this bullshit article? Like, is it clickbaity? Are you just trying to have women be like, yeah, she's right, and like any dude who happens to find it is like, wow, this chick is full of shit? I mean, I don't understand, but that's my opinion. So the next one is she wants, and I said the way she worded it is very smart to say only women experience this. She wants more sex and he does not. And again, it's a great example she puts in there of another woman who responded and said that she wants to have sex all the time and her husband, now that they're married after a couple years, never wants to have sex. And I'm not saying that doesn't happen. But yet again, I can confidently tell you that it goes both ways 100%, where the guy wants to have more sex and the woman just doesn't. And that could be for different reasons for both. Sometimes for men, it could just be the fact that they're working a lot, they're tired, and same thing for women. Maybe they're working a lot, maybe they're at home as a stay-at-home mom and they're really busy and overloaded and they just don't want to as often. That's just possibly like the dynamic of how things are going in their lives or that time in their life or whatever it may be. I mean, when you get older, guys are getting lower testosterone. So yeah, that makes more sense why that would happen. But I'm going to confidently say that in an average relationship, an average marriage, you're going to have ebbs and flows. And I'm also going to confidently tell you that it's not just women who experience that. Now, the way it's worded, yes, women are going to experience that only because we're talking about like heterosexual relationships. So yes, like women are gonna, so it's worded that way. But in general, as far as someone wanting sex and someone not, that can happen in either case. Like, who wants it, who doesn't? So again, this lady, I fucking swear, just is like, let me just write an article to piss people. I don't know. Make women say, yeah, I like you. We're gonna come talk to you. Fuck anybody else we're gonna talk to because this lady agrees with everything I think. I just think it's comical, and also I think that some of these things are true, and I feel like addressing them is great. This one I agree with. It's like every other one, so I appreciate this video a lot so far. The next one is he is a slob. I will say that I feel like in my experience and talking to people, usually that is correct. Guys are a little bit more dirty, nasty, and don't clean up after themselves more than women do. So I would say that's kind of truthful. As far as like that conversation, I think it's the same thing. Like if he's being a slob, it means you're cleaning up after him, which means that you're doing more work. So it's going to essentially be that same type of conversation where you're just saying like, hey man, or hey husband, hey person, I need you to clean up your shit. Like I need you to clean up your clothes, clean up after yourself, wash the dishes, like wash your own stuff. Like, you know what I mean? Like take care of your shit and just have the honest conversation of saying like, because when you don't, it puts more work on me, it puts more stress on me, and then it puts me in a position where I'm in a less positive mood. And then when you ask, why are you upset or why are you being short? It's because I have to clean up after your laundry and I have to clean up after your dishes. And it's just a wearing and grinding thing. So I do agree with that one. I think, again, it's just having a very forward conversation. And I don't think you have to pay someone hundreds of dollars to have that basic honest conversation. And again, ladies, if you're in like a relationship or a fucking engaged or you're living with some dude, if he's messy, like he's probably always gonna be messy. So like if it's a problem, if it's gonna like be like a deal breaker at some point in time, you probably should make a deal breaker now because it probably isn't gonna change that much. Like if you have the conversation and he changes, awesome. But I'm also gonna tell you, like, usually people are pretty set in their ways when it comes to that. Like if there's someone's like OCD clean, they're probably gonna always be OCD clean. Like I've had friends that are like that. Never had anybody like in a relationship that I've dated like that. But I've had friends that are like OCD clean. They've been that way since like high school and they're still that way now. Or like I swear like they toothbrush like they're fucking like their wood floors, which doesn't make any sense, but I've like seen crazy stuff like that before. So that's number 6. We got 3 more to go. We're gonna make it through this. I'm gonna get through it hopefully sooner than later because I don't want to draw this thing out. Number 7. Oh good God, this one's the best day of my life. is he thinks housework is women's work. I'm sorry, like that one makes me laugh. Like I like laughed in my head as I read it, but then I'm laughing as I'm like saying it because I can't help it because it's like fucking hilarious. Okay, dead ass again. If you're married and this is the situation, I'm sorry because you are in a fuck situation. But I'm again gonna tell you, if you are dating or in a serious relationship, if you can't sniff this out and tell like that's his feelings and like ideas and sentiments, then you're dumb and you deserve what's coming to you. And that's just the way that it is. And I hate to be a dick about it, but again, like if you're in a relationship and he's not cleaning up or he doesn't do any of the chores, or you're living with him and you're not married yet, he's not helping out, he's not cooking, he's not going to the grocery store, he's not doing like regular daily shit, then I'm gonna confidently tell you that that's not probably gonna change. And if you have a conversation, excuse me, and it doesn't change then, it ain't gonna change. So don't hold on for hope for something that isn't gonna change. So again, like I hate to be a dick because I know it kind of sounds bad, but like it's the truth. Like you have to either learn to accept things that you don't like about someone or get the fuck out. There's none of this like sitting in the middle like, well, I don't like this, but I'll still marry them or I'll still keep dating them. Like if it's bad enough, then get out. And if it's not, then you got to get over it. There's none of this middle because then you're just like meandering around and wasting your time, wasting their time. Number 8. Oh, this one I love too. This one is fucking, I love these because they're so stupid. She says, he doesn't share his feelings and thoughts. And again, if you replace the word, if you just leave it as he, then yes, of course, it only works one way because it wouldn't make sense if you reworded it. But again, in a normal relationship, I'm going to confidently tell you again that I have met plenty, and I do mean plenty, and I have dated them as well, of women who don't want to share their feelings. And I'm going to tell you that again, I feel like this one especially is like number 7, the whole he thinks housework is women's work. I feel like it's like these like generalistic, stereotypical, like sexist ideas about men and women's like roles and relationships that I feel like are perpetuated by articles that are dumb like this, where like there's some validity to it, but some like 7 and 8, the housework and he doesn't share his feelings and thoughts. Those are, like I said, perpetuated stereotypes that continue to like literally like cause more strife and problems than they solve. And it's just fucking annoying. And you're wasting time by like bringing that shit up because dead ass, like that works both ways. There are women that don't want to share their feelings and emotions easily, if at all, and there are men that do the same thing. But when we continue to like push this narrative that that's what men do and that women would never do that, then we're continuing to, like I said, like we're pushing stereotypes that are bullshit and we're not helping solve a problem and we're giving literally no advice, just therapy. That's literally says. It literally says, if you're having this problem, therapy is where you need to be. Again, like it's like an article pushing just bullshit. Like, no, if the guy isn't sharing his feelings and thoughts, then you shouldn't have married him. Because that hasn't changed. That's who the person is. He's been that way since the beginning of your relationship. Same thing for women with men. If she doesn't share her feelings and thoughts a lot, she might open up some and he might open up some. But there comes a point in time where that shit's not going to change because that's as comfortable as they're going to be opening up about their emotions and feelings on a regular basis as my dishwasher starts to run. But telling you, it was my fridge, just kidding. But I'm telling you, like straight up and down, like million percent, that stuff is not going to change after a certain point in time. So like at some point in time, you need to figure that shit out and realize that that's how open they are without you pressing. And if you didn't realize that, again, like I hate to be a dick, but like if you didn't realize that, like you're an idiot. And the people that wrote in that didn't realize that, or her or whoever else, like they're dumb. They just are. Like these are basic things that you're going to notice in a regular relationship at the beginning, middle, end, death. Like when you go on your first date, like you're going to notice a lot of this stuff. So like please just be aware and don't get married if you see stuff, like I said, you can't live with, because you're going to live with it at that point in time. We're going to get a divorce and go through that process. So like that's up to you. And the very last one that I think is fucking hilarious, and I understand the point though, is that he is obsessed with sports. And I'm going to tell you that I agree with you, but I'm also, like I said, I don't want to play devil's advocate because I really don't feel like I have. I feel like I've been pretty straightforward. But again, Like, I agree with you that men can be obsessed with sports, but I feel like there are plenty of women that are obsessed with other dumb shit, whether it's social media, whether it's shopping, whether it's whatever it may be. I feel like it does go both ways. But the point that I understand she's trying to make, so I'll give her some validity, is that a lot of men like to watch a lot of sports, and it does take away quality time for guys to have with their kids or significant other. So I will give it to you. That one, again, is something that I guarantee you that has been going on since the beginning, so you probably should have sniffed it out. If it did start later for whatever reason, it's again leading with the conversation of like, hey, I want to spend quality time with you. Like, I understand you want to watch sports, and if you're watching like your teams are the Lakers and the Dodgers, then okay, like, let them watch the Lakers and the Dodgers game. But express, like, when the Lakers and Dodgers aren't on, if we could spend quality time versus you just watching sports to watch sports, that's what I need. And just having, again, like, that open, honest conversation, because so many people just don't do that, and it drives me absolutely insane. This video was way too long, but I felt the need to do something about Women's Day, and I feel like, in a way, it's kind of a helpful video, and then it's kind of like a, hey, if you're dumb, then you're dumb. Or maybe it's more of like a pre-warning of like, hey, don't get married if there's already stupid shit happening. That's one thing I'm gonna tell you. One more like holistic piece of advice that everybody already knows, but people don't really utilize, is that if there is behaviors or actions that are going on at the beginning of a relationship or the middle of a relationship or before you get married, I am 99.999% positive that that's not going to change ever, never, ever, never. And that person is not going to suddenly change because they got married to you or because you're husband and wife or whatever else you think. That's not how things work. If anything, those behaviors that are not great, those actions you don't like as much, are probably going to get worse in a lot of situations because they're going to get more comfortable because they're married, you're not going anywhere, they're not going anywhere. So I'm telling you, like, don't expect big changes because it will not happen. And that is just the way that it is. So, as I always say, if y'all could do me a solid favor, if you got any value out of this video, if you feel like anyone else will get value out of this video, please feel free to share it with them directly or wherever else you feel free. Wherever else you want to share it, feel free to do so.